We had some massive earnings reports announced today from a variety of companies, Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, and a string of other interesting businesses that I wanted to get into. So I wanted to have some kind of like start off with a market review, and then we're going to get into some earnings, and I'll do some reviews of companies as well as their valuations, let you know where I think the price target for me is and what I think that particular stock looks like from a buy, hold, or sell perspective. And I would love to see some suggestions on your side. Is there a stock you want to look at? Is there a question you have? Put it in the chat. Let's mix it up, and I will look at the chat, either respond or do an analysis on a stock that you're looking to get reviewed. And I appreciate you joining. It looks like we've got some people already on the stream. I appreciate you joining. So today was a red day across the board. We had the NASDAQ down 0.5, S&P down 0.47, the Dow down, and the Russell down. Not too bad, but it was not good. And it was, again, a day where some sectors got hit harder than others, and I'll go through that in a bit. There were a couple of highlights. Our friends over at Meta held their stock price today, just up slightly. And then in the after hours, they're up a little bit. So these guys did all right. So good to see Meta's hanging in there. When we look at the market, it's been an interesting week for sure, where you've seen some stocks like Nvidia selling off quite a bit, like down 4%. And I don't think I need to remind anybody that this stock was down 17% at the beginning of the week. So it's volatility, baby, with Nvidia. And I think there's a lot of scared investors in that stock that are quick to get out. And Rotella Cheese, thank you for joining. Lamb Research, that's on the list. And I agree that the earnings look good. Let's take a look at it. So back to Nvidia. Nvidia is just, man, it is going to be interesting what happens there. Of course, the research, the report on DeepSeek and how DeepSeek has really reduced the cost of AI, large language models, as well as the next thing that you do with the large language model. And that is going to be a big story because, immediately a lot of people were like, oh, it's made up. It's not real. What DeepSeek is it's open source, and they provided their model to people here in the States, and people in the Silicon Valley looked at it and they were really impressed. They thought, man, these guys nailed it. And now you're hearing OpenAI is claiming, oh, they stole our technology or something. And that's always, I don't know, it could be true, but I think it sounds a little bit like a nice solid excuse. Hey, wait, they can't be better than us. They stole our idea. Well, if they stole your idea, how come your models weren't as affordable and expensive and don't run with the same energy and so forth? But the whole story is beginning to become a big problem for Nvidia and all the stocks that were just priced up because we were going to have to build out these data centers that were just going to be huge. But with this new, more efficient AI path, they don't have to be huge. They don't consume as much electricity. And that was validated by some smart people in the United States that really know their stuff. I've done enough to be comfortable saying that. I've done enough research and listened to some experts. And don't take it from me. Go do your own research and you'll see that, DeepSeek is the real deal. To make matters more interesting, Alibaba, which I believe is a credible company, they came out and said, we have an AI model and it's even better than DeepSeek. Oh, great. Here we go again. So Nvidia has a couple of big stories that they're going to have to contend with. And we're going to talk about Microsoft in a bit. They were down 1%, and it's not a pretty picture in the after hours. And I'll cover that in a bit. So the semiconductor space was not good because Nvidia went down. The software space was also down quite a bit. Salesforce is down. ServiceNow is down. We'll take a look at that. And I am going to look at ServiceNow because they announced after the market closed. Apple's been holding their own. They're like, man, these guys dodge bullets. They dodged the big pullback here. So I'm not going to look at Apple today. I'll look at it tomorrow. They're going to announce tomorrow. So I'll save that till tomorrow. IBM had a very good earnings, and I believe they're rallying, or they rallied today. The other sectors, it's kind of a mixed, green and red. And financial services, nothing really big to point out. Tesla was down today. We'll take a look at the stock. They announced. Healthcare was down today. Nothing really to point at and say, hey, here's a big winner. So really the news today was was a down day. Nvidia took the brunt of the sell-off. Tesla was sold off quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see how those stocks will respond. As we look at the sectors, communication services, both Google and Meta were slightly positive. And some other stocks held their own. Like I think T-Mobile did really well. I think they had good earnings. So that helped that sector. Energy stayed in the green. Materials stayed in the green. Staples stayed in the green. And utilities stayed in the green. But everything else was in the red. Real estate being the biggest loser sector of the day. So that is interesting. Looking at the scoreboard for the year, who is leading the race to be the best sector of the year? It looks like communication services is number one. Financial services is number two. Healthcare is number three. Technology at the back of the pack. That is rare to see. But here we are. We're 2 trading days from finishing off January. Carlos, good to see you. Wrote Shadow Guy. I sold a 2-week put on Nvidia at 105. Going to be biting my nails. So it's interesting you did that. I bought a long-term put on Nvidia that expires in January of 26. I'm already in the money. I'm up like 35% in the money. So I don't know when I should sell it. I'm not a big, options guy, but man, if you want to play with fire, play with Nvidia, short it or buy an option, and it'll add excitement to your life for sure. All right. Good luck with that, Shadow Guy. Hopefully we both can make money. All right. So looking at the list of the most expensive, most valuable companies, Apple holding up their value. Incredible. Those guys dodge bullets. They have like 10 lives, man. Just nothing. These bad stories did not stick to Apple because they didn't build a large language model. They didn't invest big in AI. So they avoided all the heartache, the carnage that Nvidia is having to deal with, and Microsoft's beginning to deal with. Microsoft was down. Nvidia was down. Amazon was down a bit. Google held their value. Meta held their value. Tesla was down. So there was some pretty good red out there, but nothing. I mean, the worst one was Nvidia. And Nvidia's in correction territory. And I think the volatility is here to stay. I think the Nvidia stockholders yesterday, when the stock did bounce back up and picked up maybe, I'm going to say about half of the losses that it lost on Monday, they were claiming a little bit of a victory. Like, oh, okay, it's back. Now today it's got to be demoralizing. Oh no, it's back down. And, the stories are coming out that, hey, the AI that we thought was going to work 2 years ago, innovation will continue to make products better, in many cases cheaper, commoditized, good old-fashioned competition, good old-fashioned innovation. Companies get disrupted. And it looks like there is some disruption happening with OpenAI and potentially Nvidia. If we don't need those big expensive chips, there you go. Don't need them anymore. Good luck selling them, Nvidia. Good luck selling them at those premiums that you wanted. And we will see. Nvidia doesn't report for a while, so we'll see what the hyperscalers say. And we're going to get into one of the biggest ones, which is Microsoft, in a few minutes. And Shadow Guy. Yeah, I know you and I are going to talk one-on-one. I wanted to talk about it and see if you had any advice for me. But we'll go over that when we talk. All right. So Rotelli Cheese, can you see hyperscalers cutting back on their GPU CapEx? Yes, absolutely. Totally. Now, so here's what happened in 1 week. Last week, hyperscalers were bragging, I'm going to spend a lot of money on CapEx. I'm going to spend so much money. I'm going to outspend everyone to be the biggest, the most sophisticated, most capable data center company on the planet. That's what they were like pounding their chest about. They had that $300 billion joint venture announced. You had even Microsoft said we have $80 billion we want to spend. Meta was saying, oh yeah, we're going to spend, I forgot how many billions, excuse me. And the story this week is, yeah, you can do that all you want, but you'd be crazy because now the game has changed. Yeah, AI, as it gets built out and so forth, it'll continue to get developed and evolved. And now you can do it at a fraction of the cost. The startups are going to start building on top of DeepSeek or anything that resembles that model in cost structure because the costs are substantially lower from a power consumption perspective. Overall, just less expensive. So it's a little bit of OpenAI is painted in a really bad spot. Data centers will not need to be as big. And it looks like China is pretty darn competitive. So if these hyperscalers are building out data centers in China, that'd be a pretty good idea. But I would say that there's probably some capacity that was planned that is going to be canceled. And there's going to be a slowing down of the excitement to invest into AI, I imagine. So the short answer is yes. I think the hyperscalers have to throttle back. The rules may have changed. And again, the sources that have reviewed DeepSeek, these are very credible sources. Don't believe me, do your own research. But the sources I'm reading, these are the people that know AI. It's not some stock analyst that would love just to see Nvidia continue to rise or fall, in my case. Go seek out the people that really know and listen to them. I can't explain it. It's freaking rocket science. And I'm not a rocket scientist. All right. So looks like Alex is on. Good to see you. Neil, I haven't seen you in a while, Neil. What's up, man? So yeah, it is a crazy market. Showing off. Yup. Microsoft. So looks like Rotelli and Cheese. You got a couple comments there. I'll make sure that I don't see any stock symbols yet. So if there's a stock symbol or a question. Okay, Alex, will AMD be the beneficiary of Nvidia news? Surprisingly, AMD is completely not rallying. There's been so much excitement, and AMD is just completely a stick in the mud. So the answer is no. And I've evaluated AMD. I don't like the stock. They don't produce enough cash flow, and they're not a shaker and a mover, man. The company that's going to be the force that Nvidia and other chip makers are going to have to contend with is Huawei in China, because they're the ones that have been producing chips that the AI hyperscalers are using Huawei chips, which I don't think any Huawei product is allowed in the US. So there you have it, folks.